Yo, what is up, everybody? This is Cushion Tech here, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the mistakes I made when I first started to learn when I started to code and all that. Quick tip, and just a reminder, almost every single new programmer and new developer has made like at least like will make mistakes when they start to code and all that. Junior developers will make mistakes when they start to code and all that. Almost everyone will. They'll make various and different types of mistakes and all that. They'll make almost every developer, beginner developer will only make like at least they'll make more than one mistake. They will for sure and all that. But the longer the longer they code and all that, and like the more they code and the longer time they take to code and all that, the better they'll become at coding and all that, and they'll learn from it. And quick tip, you also learn from your mistakes and all that. Let's see another reason why. Let's see, like you should. Let's see another mistake I made when I started to code was skipping out on some of the basics. Like I skipped out on like basic programming concepts like continue statements, break statements and all that. That I skipped out on like some like topics and all that. I skipped out on maps and all that. I skipped out on like let's see like Linux and how to like program Linux and all that, and like I like skipped out on like variety of like I skipped on what like basic programming topics and all that. I skipped out on basic computer topics and all on like what is a computer, hardware, programming, CPU, ALU, fetch, decode and all that. I skipped out on what were bit addresses and all that, and like and I went into like more of the advanced projects and all that, and I skipped out up on like basic programming topics and all that. Another mistake I made when I started to code and all that was thinking that coding was so easy and all that. That mistake I made because like let's see, oh, I thought I was gonna get an easy A and all that. I thought it was easy though, but I didn't realize that let's see, coding got harder like as you went on and like all that. I thought Python was going to be easy, everything in Python was going to be easy, but then but then I realized that like Python was starting to get harder and harder like towards like the end and all that. And like when I started learning about threads in Python and all that, and like threads are like in Python is in which let's see, in which like you can run to run your program two times at the same time. You could run your program twice at the same time and all that, and like you can do like threads are like let's see, like you can pretty much basically run two programs at the same, like two programs and like two outputs at the same time and all that. And like threads, let's see like can it be in which let's see, it can be executed twice but at the same time. Another mistake I made when I learned how to code was that like I underestimated it when coding and all. Like I thought like coding was gonna be too easy for me and all that. I thought I wasn't gonna struggle and all that, and I thought I wouldn't need any help and all that. But then as like coding went harder and harder, I underestimated it and all that. And like I also underestimated that like I can't learn just only one programming language. I have to I have to learn like multiple programming languages and all that. And because let's see, like I have to like let's see learn different that's another thing I estimate underestimated about computer programming, is that like not everything in computer science is coding. Some is just like theory, some is just raw logic, some is just theory based, some is just like concepts based, some is just reading, writing and all that. And because of that, that was another thing I underestimated and all that. Another, let's see, mistake I made when I started to learn how to program and code and is that I was insufficient testing. I didn't test my like programming assignments that much. I didn't test it that much. I didn't test it like with various like test cases and all that, and like because I didn't test it that much, and I didn't like include test like some cases and all that, that I ended up losing points because of that, because I thought my teacher wasn't gonna like, let's see, test those test cases, but in reality he did. And because of that, like that was another mistake I made. Insufficient testing. You have to test every single known output put possible, or else like see there will be a glitch and there'll be the program will crash even if there's like this one tiny problem and all that. It'll be the program will crash, so you have to test everything, because like let's see, like due to a software error and all that, it caused a plane crash, and in a plane it caused a plane crash and all that. And because of that, like you need to include more sufficient testing and all that. Let's see, insufficient testing. Let's see, like you need to include more testing and all that. You have to test everything regularly and all that, and because you have to test everything regularly and like more thoroughly and all that, like you'll have a higher chance of getting a higher score and all that. Another mistake I made when I started to learn how to code was poor code documentation and all that, because it made it difficult for me to understand the code base. Like it caused me to be less productive. It like led to a waste of time and resources and all that. It also like led to me getting like a greater having higher risk of having more errors and all that. And like let's see, I did not, let's see, like put any non-existent or hard to find pages. I put like broken documentation with broken links and all that. I put inaccurate documentations and all that. I didn't like include any readme files and all that. I didn't document like the input or output and all that, and because of that I lost points on my assignment and all that. And like because of that, it took me longer for my professor to grade the project and all that. And like I have to document every single piece of code and all that, or if I want to, let's see, get a good score on it and all that. Let's see. Another mistake I made when I started to code was I did not comment parts of useless code, and instead of, let's see, like not commenting parts of useless code, I deleted the useless code, because like sure it may have been useless in the program though, but it could have been useful in the long run and all that. And delete not commenting parts of code of useless code can be like bad for you in the long run, because like it can be help you, because it can help you, like let's see, like if you're struggling with some like thing, programming topic and all that, programming and all that, that commented out code could help you, like you implement, like it can find out like what's the problem with your like it can show you how you can debug your debug the program and all that. And because of that, like let's see, let's see, I didn't learn that how it took me longer to solve my problems and coding problems and all that. Another mistake I made when I learned how to code was like not putting comments next to or near the code and all that. And like because I did not put any comments like next to or near the code and all that, it made me I didn't really learn much from the code and all that. Let's see, like I didn't really learn much from the code and all that. The professor like took points off my assignment, because my programming assignment and all that. Let's see, like it's important to add comments, because it enhances the readability and interpretability of the program. And because of that, like and it can explain and describe what each line of code does. And because of that, I wasn't able to fully understand and I wasn't able to explain it to a person about how my code does. So, and because of me not putting comments on the code and all that, let's see, like it did, I didn't really learn much from doing it and all that. Another mistake I made when I started the code was overcomplicating the code and all that. I created like overcomplicated solutions that took like so many like multiple lines of code and all that, and because of that it took a higher time complexity and all that, and a time complexity and all that. And what I wish I'd done instead was like write shorter code and all that took less time complexity, and like let's see, like I overcomplicated the code because like I made it too difficult for like my partners and like the professor to understand the code and all that, and because of that I lost, let's see, so much, let's see, I lost points on my programming assignments and all that. And like the slower it takes your code, the less time complexity is, and the less time complexity, the better it is. And because of that, like, and the less memory it takes and all that, so less space it takes and all that. And since I write overcomplicated code and all that, it took more space and all that. Another mistake I made when I started to code is all that is that I ignored the minor logic errors and all that. Sure, like because like as soon as I got the 100% test cases passings, I just submitted and all that rather than just looking at minor logic errors and all that, because minor logic errors can like change your output and all that. And like they also not only look at your logic errors and all that, they also look at your output and all that. And because I had minor logic errors, it did not look good. It did not look good on the website and all that. And because like it did not look good on you on the website and all that, and because let's see, it did not look good on the website and all that. Like let's see, I made like so many minor logic errors and all that, and like because of those minor logic errors, my code didn't run like very fast and good and all that, and it took so much space and all that. Let's see, another mistake I made when I started to when I let's see started the code was that I focused only on passing the test rather than getting correct output along with it. And like the reason why I only focused on rather getting 100% test case passes, because like most of the points come from test cases passing and all that. And while like a good amount of points come from correct output and all that, and because of that, like and because let's see, I only focused on test cases rather than the correct output and all that. Like I ended up losing points for not getting the correct output and all that. And getting that correct output of a program is and important and all that, along with the test cases, because like if you pass all the test cases, you can't get a good output without passing all the test cases and all that. So it's better to get the correct output, let's see, rather than like just only focusing. You have to get both the test cases passes and the correct output. Another mistake I made when I started to code was that like I did not read the problem before coding it and all that. I just straight up like rushed my coding and just like straight up started to code everything and all that, rather than just reading the problem and understanding the problem and all that. And because of that, I failed too many test cases and I failed too many logics, and it took me and it took me a longer time to complete the programming assignments and all that. And because I did not read the problem before coding, and that I did before coding and all that, like because I didn't re- I started to code everything and all that, I let's see like didn't really learn or understand the problem and all that. Because of that, and quick tip, if you want to let's see solve the problem first, you have to read the problem and all that. And by reading the problem, you can understand like what is the problem, and if you understand the problem, you can solve the problem easily and all that. Another mistake I made, let's see, when I started to, let's see, like, started to code was not visualizing the output, let's see, before I started, let's see, coding and all that, and and by not visualizing the output before coding and all that, like, you won't know how to output and all that, like, what code to write and all that, and because of that, you'll have like a have like a hard time, let's see, coding and coding and all that, and like, because let's see, you'll have like a hard time, let's see coding and all that, and because you'll have a hard time, let's see, coding and all that, you'll have like a harder time, let's see, learning new things and new things and things and new things and new things and all that, and because of that, you'll have a hard time, let's see, learning new things and all that. Another mistake when I made before coding, when I started to code, was writing the code before thinking about and implementing the algorithm and all that. Like, I just wrote code without thinking or implementing about which algorithm to choose and all that. And you cannot just write code you cannot just write code like that. You have to think and implement the algorithm or solution to the code and all that. And like, you have to think, like, and implement, like, think about like how to like get the correct output and all that, and like, you have to make sure the correct algorithm let's see, shows everything properly and all that. Like, writing the code, just writing code and all that, like, won't help get your problem solved, or like won't let you get an output and all that. You have to, let's say, think about implementing the algorithm. You have to write a good algorithm that can achieve the current task and all that. Let's see, another mistake I made when I started to learn when I let's see started to learn how to code was writing less optimized code and all that. And like, because I let's see wrote less optimized code and all that, like, that, which means I didn't write readable code and all that, and like, because I didn't write readable code and all that, and I didn't I didn't, let's see, write, let's see, good code and all that, and I wrote less optimized code and all that. And because I did not write less, because I wrote less optimized code and all that, and because of that, like, let's see, it was hard for them to read and all that, and like, I didn't get a good enough output and all that, and like, and I didn't get, and because I didn't get a good enough output and all that, like, it didn't help me in the long run and all that. Let's see, like, let's see, writing code that is ugly and on an organized style can make you less, or less understand the code and all that and all that. It doesn't make it makes people harder to understand the code and all that. Like, even if the code compilers and even if the code works, you should not write ugly code and unorganized code and all that, because like, it'll be harder for you to read, and it'll be harder for like employers to read and understand the code and the code and all that. And because let's see, there are like duplicated code that appears in multiple places and all that, which is unclean and all that, and like, writing unclean code can be not good and all that. And because let's see, writing unclean code is not good and all that, and because of that, like, let's see, it's not gonna be like, it's gonna be bad to write unclean and not good code and all that. Another mistake everyone makes when they start to code is not caring about indentation. Let's see, like, people, let's see, write code when they don't write about indentation and all that, and like, let's see, because let's see, people, let's see, write code that, let's see, about that has like bad and poor indentation and all that, it could be more prone to errors and all that, and like, and because let's see, like, the code can be and because the code, let's see, is more prone to the errors and all that, and like because let's see, the code is more like, if you don't care about indentations and all that, the code let's see, is hard to tell and all that, and because of that, like, it'll be harder for let's see, the code to, let's see, learn about indentation and all that, and like you have to maintain good and proper indented code and all that. Another mistake I made when let's see, when we start to code and all that, is like we over rely on coding tutorials and all that, and like because we over rely on coding tutorials, we don't understand how the code actually works. We just simply copy and paste the code and like modifying the code and all that, and by like copying code from coding tutorials rather than understanding the code from coding tutorials, let's see, like it won't help us in the long run, and we won't understand or know how to code and all that, and like, let's see, if we over rely on tutorials, such as copying code from tutorials and all that, rather than just understanding code, rather than just like understanding the code and all that, it's not gonna help us in the long run and all that, and because it's not gonna help us in the lo- in the in the long run and all that, we'll have a hard time understanding the code and all that. Let's see, another mistake we I made, and every junior developer makes when they start to code, is write unnecessary code and all that. And like, for example, if there are if, else ifs, and else statements and all that that are used in if else statements and all that before everything other parts of the codes are run, like, let's see, it's writing, like, let's see, it's unnecessary code and all that. We should, let's see, write it in the, like, in the loop, like outside the if else and else statements and all that. That way it'll generate the same output and all that, and it'll write like unnecessary like code and all that. And like, another reason why let's see, writing unnecessary code is not good for us and all that, and like, and because of that, and because of that like, because if we write unnecessary code and all that, it'll be a waste of space, and it'll also be a waste of time and all that, and it'll taking more space and more bytes and all that. Let's see, mistakes I made when another mistake I made when I started to learn how to code was making common syntax and errors and all that. And like, because, let's see, making like common like syntax errors and all that, like, because I made like so many syntax errors and all that, like I tended to get docked off points on assignment for like common syntax errors, and like it took me longer to find out and how and to solve my problem and all that. And because, let's see, like it took me longer to figure out how I solved my problems and all that, like I struggled in finding the solution to my project and all that. And like, because, let's see, like I struggled to like find the like solution to my project and all that, and like because of that, I had a hard time learning how to code, and I made like so many syntax errors and all that, and I had a hard time debugging them. Let's see, another mistake I made when I started to learn how to code was that, like, I copied existing code and then modified it to like make my own, and like, sure, I changed it and all that, but like, sure, I changed it and all that though, but like, but let's see, let's see, like, by changing and and like copying the like existing code and all that, I didn't really learn much from it and all that, and like I didn't understand how the code actually worked and all that. And because, let's see, I copied like existing code and all that, it did not not help me at all and all that, and because of that I wasn't able to learn that much from coding and all that, and because I wasn't learning much from coding and all that, I had a hard time doing certain things and all that when I started to code and all that. Let's see, another mistake I made when I started to learn to code was I started off with a harder programming language, which was Java and all that, and I really wish I started off with a beginner friendly programming language like Python, C++, or JavaScript and all that, because beginner friendly programming, because let's see, if I go with a hard programming language, I'll miss out on some topics and all that, and I'll struggle less with all that, and Python, JavaScript are let's see, the two programming languages that let's see, are bigger beginner friendly on that, due to the syntax being close but not exactly English related and all that, and because of that I struggled a lot. Another mistake I made when I started to learn how to code was not writing the starter code or everything from scratch and all that. I had to do spaghetti. I used spaghetti code and all that. Because of that, I had pre-written code and all that, and then I modified everything in the pre-written code and all that. And because let's see, I used pre-written code to do everything, to write all the basics for me and all that, writing all the classes for me and all the functions for me, rather than just writing the functions and classes myself. And because of that, I didn't really learn that much from coding and all that, and because of that because of that I didn't really learn much from coding and all that, and I let's see didn't learn and had a hard time struggling with coding and coding and all that, and I didn't, and because let's see, I wrote, and I started to, let's see, write my own starter code without getting other people's help from it and all that.